So my name's Rock DeMontlison, and I moved to the North Shore 4 years ago, and I've been kind of looking for a church to go to and not really finding one. And so one day I was working out at the gym, and I asked my trainer, I said, well, where do you go to church? And he said, I go to the field. And I thought, okay, well, you meet out in the field. Anyway, I got here early, I went to the church early, and I didn't know anybody at the church, and this guy comes walking up to me with this big smile on his face, and I knew instantly, I just knew I was home. And that person was Sam, the pastor. And so the field brought in a community in my life, which I didn't really have before. And actually that was part of my prayer to God a year and a half before I even came here. I was praying for a community. And so since being at the field church for a little over a year, that's exactly what's happened in my life. I've received a community, and it's actually more of a family. And so, again, God answers prayers, and it's just an affirmation that Christ is my treasure, and that it's because of His love that I was drawn here.
Hi, I'm Michael Bazile. This is my wife, Joyce. We've been coming to the field church now since Easter Sunday of 2018, so right around about 6 months now. Before we started coming to church, I would say that our relationship was almost non-existent.
So, we went on Easter Sunday. Michael asked me that morning, hey, would you like to go to church? And the night before, I saw the Grey's Anatomy episode where April Kapaner had a crisis of faith, and I was like, maybe this is me. Maybe this is what's happening. When I tell you, I was just overcome with I swear, He was here. Jesus was here, and He was talking to me, and I was listening to the words that were being sung, and I cried the entire service. And after I went up to Sam, full of tears, I'd never met him before, and I said, I'm having a crisis of faith, and I need you. I need to talk to you. I need, something.
Really the biggest thing is that since we've come to know Jesus, that we've really been more just intentional with everything that we do.
Yeah, I think before we had Jesus in our life, we were content. We didn't have a bad relationship, but it was.
We really were just going about the days. I remember one night we were doing our marital counseling homework.
Mm-hmm.
One part, I forgot what we were talking about, but Joyce asked me, and she just looked at me, she was like, why are you so different with me than you were, a year ago? And, without even hesitating, I just looked up directly in the eyes and said, because now I actually know Jesus.
Hey, we're Josh and Brittany Miller.
So the way we started coming to the field is because a friend of mine invited us. She said there's really great people, they're super raw, super real, genuine people, and we would love it.
Yeah, so one thing I noticed right away that was different, I came in and I was greeted by a guy I know now is Chad, and one of the pastors here. I didn't know he was the pastor though, and he invited me for coffee, and I was like, this guy, he's not gonna really take me to coffee. So I called him out on it, and we ended up having coffee the next day.
So we jumped in, we're super, got involved, and I would realize that there was an unsettling that would happen when I would hang out with people, and I'm like, what is wrong? I love people. I know how to do relationships. What is wrong? I've grown up in the church, and it was just kind of this stirring and this discontented confusion kind of, what am I felt really I was missing something.
It starts with this genuine community, and you think that's where it ends, but what you find at the end of every conversation in this genuine community is someone pointing you to treasuring Jesus. So we used to think that finding the right community would give us the spiritual food that we were looking for, and finally we've realized that the only thing that does that is realizing that Jesus is our treasure.
I'm Carrie Ann. I grew up in church my whole life, basically, but it was never something that was personal to me It was just out of obligation for my parents or because I thought that I needed to do it. And so in October, I came and visited the fields with one of my friends, and I was intrigued, but just wasn't ready to pull the trigger on switching. And then in January, something happened and I switched, and the church was great, but what really sold me on the field was the women's study. I went in there not knowing anyone and left there feeling like the women there really wanted to know me, and they opened themselves up and exposed what they were going through in their lives, and that level of vulnerability was what was really refreshing. And again, just going through discipleship, going through community groups, being able to see how people are treasuring Jesus in their lives on a day-to-day basis, I'm really seeing that make a difference in my life. I'm going from praying to God for patience, God give me grace in this situation, to God, thank you for who you are. Thank you for loving me and just treasuring Him above all else is really just the greatest thing that the field has taught me.